Russell wins in Vegas, Max becomes a 4-time champ, and the race was actually pretty good. You're going to get all that and more today on Track Limits. Welcome to episode 3 of Track Limits with me, John, the Motorsport Enthusiast, and today we are talking about the Las Vegas Grand Prix as well as the next race, which is the second to last race of the season. It's the Qatar Grand Prix. If you didn't watch the Las Vegas GP, don't worry, I'm going to break down all my notes really quick right here before we jump into next race. George Russell got the pole with Carlos Sainz in second, Pierre Gasly in third, and Charles Leclerc starting in P4. And on the start, Leclerc has become one of the best, I would say the master of restarts, going from 4th to 2nd in a matter of corners. So many overtakes. It was overtake city for really the whole race, but even in the beginning of the race, you could tell that the drivers were more confident than they were last year, even with the conditions that they faced in FP1 through FP3. The first piece of business was Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc tried to catch up to George Russell, burnt through his tires, so he came down pit road first, and then literally everybody else followed him down pit road, and you could see that the medium tires were literally getting grated apart like a cheese grater, and then everybody eventually went on to the hard tires after they saw what happened with Leclerc. You can see right here, the next piece of information is that Pierre Gasly was complaining about power issues. The team came over to the radio and said, hey, everything looks fine. And the next thing you know, he's blown up and out of the race. So, sorry, Pierre. It literally was hilarious. It was like, hey, I'm down on power. Oh, you're fine. Done. As we get to the quarter portion of the race, you saw Carlos Sainz trying to figure out what the heck to do with strategy. They were talking about a plan B, a plan C, and which one to go for. I have another note about overtaking. We've seen that this race this year in particular has had more of an aggressive tone to it, and the drivers are overtaking all over the place. On lap 20, Zach Brown was interviewed live during the race, and he just put it plain and simple. They just don't have the pace. They don't have the speed. Then Lando Norris, a few laps later on lap 23, came out and said that that right front tire is about to go. He was facing some pace issues as well as some tire issues. Then we hit lap 26. Alex Albon became the second car to move. Then lap 26 hit, and we saw our second retirement of the race, Alex Albon, who retired the car because there was debris in the air duct. Or at least that's what they said during the broadcast. And as you can see in my notes here, I have to blur out some of the words because there are cuss words and I want this to be family friendly. There was debris all over the place. I mean, there were bags, napkins, paper, all over the track, which is crazy that they had this happen during a Formula One race. The next thing we know, Carlos Sainz is wanting to come down pit road, and the team's like, oh no, don't pit. Then he wants to come down pit road, oh, don't pit. And then he almost follows Lewis Hamilton down pit road, and then Ferrari at the last second was like, bail, do not box, do not box. The commentary said that he should have received a penalty for it. Later came out that he shouldn't have received a penalty, so the FIA was correct in that, not penalizing Carlos Sainz. On top of that, the Ferrari strategy was somewhat, just all over the place. Again, this is kind of new this season. We've seen their strategy be much more consistent this year comparatively to last year's. But this race, there definitely was some confusion between the drivers, between the team principal, between everybody. So the Ferrari strategy woes continue a little bit. Following that, Carlos Sainz pits on lap 29, and as I mentioned before, he wanted to pit many laps sooner. Apparently, Ocon got hit by Liam Lawson. I really don't know what happened here. This kind of was just dropped, but they said it on the broadcast and never really said anything else about it, so I don't know. The next thing we know, we saw Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen going at it. Lewis Hamilton overtaking Max Verstappen. This gave me shades of 2021 all over again. Leclerc comes down pit road on lap 32, and this is what I was referring to earlier. In the broadcast, they mentioned that Carlos Sainz broke Appendix L, Chapter 4 of the regulations when he actually didn't, so Carlos Sainz was good to go. The next thing we know, we have 3 wide in the F1 race, which I thought I was watching Daytona for a second, but you had Sergio Perez go down to the inside, pass 2 cars, go 3 wide into a corner. It was absolutely magical to watch. We now fast forward to lap 40, and the running order is Russell, Hamilton, Max, Sainz, and Leclerc. The next note I have is Hamilton is fast. Let me tell you, we have not seen Lewis Hamilton have this much speed in a good while with Mercedes this season. But as of late, it seems like Mercedes has found something, and they even said, we don't know why we're so fast this weekend, but we're fast. Sainz moved to P3, Leclerc moved to P4. They're in all caps because I'm a Ferrari fan. Then Lando Norris boxes with 2 laps to go, trying to get the fastest lap because he knew he wasn't going to lose a position to his teammate Oscar Piastri, and he was trying to at least gain enough points to take the championship fight into Qatar. But ultimately, it wasn't enough. Lando Norris was not able to gain enough points. Therefore, Max became a 4-time champion, and George Russell, let's not forget, put on an absolute clinic in Vegas. I mean, absolute clinic. Leading from flag to flag, it was incredible. So with that being said, we now move on to Qatar. The Drivers' Championship is out of the picture. The Constructors' Championship is still up for grabs. So right now in the Constructors' Championships, McLaren is leading the way with 608 points, but right behind them is Ferrari with 584 and Red Bull in third with 555. So there's 24 points that separate Ferrari and McLaren. Ferrari's been on a tear recently, and McLaren, I think since they're out of the Drivers' Championship, are 100% going to try to clinch the Constructors' Championship or try to gain as many points as possible. So it's going to be a two-horse battle between McLaren and Ferrari. Now let's talk about the next race on the schedule. We're going to Qatar for the Qatar Grand Prix. The first race actually took place in 2021, so a fairly new circuit to the schedule. There will be 57 laps. Circuit length is 5.4 kilometers, and the total race length is 308.6 kilometers. Lap record held by none other than the four-time champ Max Verstappen of a 1 minute 24.319 seconds in 2023. The track has 16 corners, 1 DRS zone, and 1 DRS detection point. The DRS detection point is between turns 15 and 16, and the DRS zone is actually on the front straight. And since the Drivers' Championship is over, the battle is going to be within the Constructors, and that Constructors battle is going to be fierce. So watch out for all three of the manufacturers, McLaren, Ferrari, and Red Bull, to be battling up at the top 6 all race long in Qatar. So you're probably wondering, when is the Qatar Grand Prix this weekend? Now I'm going to make this into Eastern time, so you'll have to convert this if you're in Central or Pacific or anywhere else in the world. The race weekend starts on Friday, November 29th. At 8 a.m. Eastern time is practice number 1, followed by sprint qualifying. Yep, at the sprint weekend, 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. Then on Saturday, November 30th, we have the sprint race starting at 9 a.m. Eastern time, followed by the race qualifying at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Then on December 1st at 11 a.m. Eastern time is the 2024 Qatar Grand Prix. So thank God we don't have to stay up until like 11 or 12 or 1 o'clock at night to watch an F1 race. Yes, I'm talking about Las Vegas. That is all for Track Limits today. To make sure you don't miss any episodes of Track Limits or any other content we have going out on ATYL Media, make sure to subscribe, make sure to like the video, make sure to share it with a Formula One friend or any other friend who's in motorsports. And if you'd like to see some more of my content independently, I've dropped all of my social links in the description as well. From John the Motorsport Enthusiast, we've exceeded Track Limits. I'll see you next week.